All right.
Hi. Isn't that bizarre, hey?
Well, the great thing about technology, Teresa, is that when it works, it's great.
I
And when
know.
it doesn't, I'm lost.
But it's odd because I did the exact same thing that we have done each and every time that we've came on here. So
Yeah, well,
I took and every other time my phone has been sitting here.
yeah, that's weird, eh?
Yeah, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
there was a bad angle.
Anyways, cheers to
Cheers.
coffee or cocktails.
There we go.
Boy, I'm trying to acclimatize to a little bit chillier weather.
Yeah, I actually, well, happy belated Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yes, it was a lovely
Yeah,
day yesterday.
yeah, and I actually I was flipping through some stuff today, and I saw some shorts or something from Canada, and people were showing that it was snowing in some places, and I was like, oh,
Oh, it was horrendous on uh su- no Sunday. Yeah, Sunday night. I was really worried about Carlene because she went to Edmonton.
oh yeah,
And I did give her a call finally because I was just getting concerned. I mean, she's a big girl, she's about to turn 40. But anyway, yeah, she said there was the odd whiteout. Yeah, it was pretty
wow.
crazy. But west, oh my goodness, it was absolutely insane at a complete standstill. Just full blown blizzard, just crazy. We got that little bit of a snow, and it was really odd because Saturday, well, I've had the kids, mostly two of them every day.
Hmm.
Um, Willow by herself on Saturday, nobody Sunday due to the weather, because Kyle has been, I mean, he works, he has a full time job, but he has a business as well. And he's been coming into the city taking care of business. All three of the kids came Monday. And then he came back to the house, picked up Summer. They went back home out to the country to do some chores and whatnot, came back into the city. And that's when sweet little vanilla ice came into my home. I was shocked. I had no idea. Summer walks in, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? But that's okay. That's okay. I said, oh,
And now you have a cat.
I do. I'm
And my I don't have a cat. I feed a cat.
Yeah, yeah, you do. You have
Mr.
that cat.
Mr. James Bond, or as my kids now refer to him when they message me and say, "Hey mom, how's Jimmy B doing?"
Oh,
And he's a menace. But I mean it's a menace of my own making, because I'm why I don't, I'm not an animal person. But I know that if you leave food out for an animal on a they will they keep coming back. So
yeah.
literally in the morning, if I don't get out there Johnny on the spot to see if Jimmy B is around, he's at the door, clawing at the door, looking for his food, meows out there. So, and then of course, there's another big male Siamese. It looks like some kind of a mix because it's got longer hair than a typical Siamese. Beautiful blue eyes though, and it's feral too. So I have opened the door a couple of times here and caught this other cat, sneaking up the stair. And I mean, I don't want to I don't want to become the cat lady of the neighborhood. I do not want to be feeding 10 cats or anything like that. I'm hoping that my daughter is true to her word and says that her and
And
her husband are going
bacon.
to take this guy home and get him fixed and do all of the things. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
an interim, but the kids are having no end of fun in this. And then they always say, mom, there's actual going to be actual video of you, because we're under CCTV everywhere we go now. They said if we there'll be video of you at Walmart buying cat food. And they say that's something we never imagined we'd ever see, mom buying cat food. And now they
That's
keep
funny.
saying, like, before you know it, mom will be bringing him in, and he'll be, no, 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 no. That will not happen. I will sustain life, but I am not bonding with this cat because it's going to go home to a good home where people love and appreciate cats. Animals need love, and I'm just not. It's I'm a people person. I'm not. That's not my
Well, I
thing.
have
You
to
know
say
that.
he's pretty darn cute here, and
Yeah,
he's such a pretty little thing.
he is. Hey, I noticed you're wearing red.
Oh yes,
Yes, and me too.
yeah. Acknowledgement,
Ab-
acknowledgement
absolutely, absolutely. I
coming
mean, and
from
there was
our good hearts.
no coordination on our part, but of course I was
No,
going to wear red today. Of course I would wear red today. May he
yeah,
rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Yeah.
yeah. That's so true. I'm a lover, not a hater, not a fighter. So
So hey,
yeah,
we're the numbers are going up slowly.
yeah.
We're getting and it's random stuff. I mean, you guys that are watching watch this channel know, like, we post a lot of different little things because we're trying to grow, and we're just, putting stuff out there, and we really want to continue to really engage people so that we can get participation in these coffee and cocktails nights. But one of the questions, and I know you've been asked, and I've been asked, and we've been asked a lot when we were traveling together, like, how did we come up with the 3 good arms and 3 good legs? So we figure we should probably spill the beans and tell people where that actually comes from, because there's some interesting stories behind that.
Absolutely, there is. Yeah,
So I
just
saw
and
you do a little tease there earlier about falling off a zip line. So why don't you kick it off and tell us about your story, and then we'll that'll take care of the 3 good arms part.
yeah. Oh, I know. It's so crazy because I would never go away on a vacation and leave my kids. I
Hmm.
mean, Tom and I had 4 kids. Um, the biggest reason for that is he worked away
Right.
for years and years and years, and I was just of the mindset that I didn't want to be. They generally just only had one parent at home. The other one was away working, and I just didn't want to leave them. And we had been invited by this one couple, I don't know how many times. Tom had mentioned, and I'd say, nope, absolutely not. I'm not going anywhere. So everyone had graduated from school and moved away. And we were invited again to go to Costa Rica. I said, nope, not going anywhere, even though the kids were all gone. And the kids, they kind of got on me and said, Mom, just go. You never do anything. You just don't do anything. Go.
Right.
So I finally gave in. And Kristen actually even bought us a book on Costa Rica. And Tom and I had gone through the book, and had we turned one more page, literally, uh, the craziness would have never happened. It just wouldn't have happened. If we would have read that next page, we would have made different choices. But anyways, we didn't. So I had never met these other 2 couples. Tom had known them for years and years and years. So the first I met them was here in Calgary at the hotel, where we all met up, and then we had a very, very early flight. Anyways, end up in Costa Rica. The weather was beautiful. It was so hot, just wonderful. Hey, and I knew that the 6 of us were gonna, have a lot of fun together. We all just really hit it off. So, anyways, that was fine. The first day after we got there, we just kind of scoped everything out, got a little bit comfortable with stuff, and then the next day, I don't know, we went and we did an activity. But anyways, the accident happened on day 5. So I'm going to jump to day 5. Oh, actually, prior to that, we did a quad tour. And that was so much fun. And there's a little bit of a significance to that story that will, eventually come out as well. But anyways, we decided that we were going to do the one day was full of activities all at the same place. So what we did, we hired a young man, an interpreter, so that we could, get by much easier. So away we all go. Now on the way up to, it was called Pura Vida. I think that's what it was, Pura Vida. Yeah. But anyways, on the way up there, Alex pulls over quick, our little driver, and he says, "Oh, look out in the field. There was an opening." And honestly, I swear there must have been thousands of morpho butterflies.
Oh, wow.
Another huge, significance to the story is the morpho butterfly. So I was like, oh my gosh, I was, taking pictures, but we get up to this lodge. No, Buena Vista Lodge. That's the name of it, not Pura Vida, Buena Vista. But anyways, we get up there and the people greet us and they're going over things, a little bit of teaching and education. We have a lunch and then we head out on horseback. We go up, and I say a little bit of a mountainside. I mean, it wasn't like steep, but we get up to this area and we all did these hot volcanic mud baths and it was just so much fun. And then of course they hose you off with ice cold water to get it off. But right nearby, there was 3 pools. Each pool was hotter than the next.
Oh, wow.
And so we're just really enjoying the hot pools and it's all water right out of the volcano. And just then, I'm just relaxing in this one pool and a morpho butterfly came and landed right down near me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I very carefully get out, go pick up the camera, and just as I'm going to take the picture, and it is like, honestly, it's looking right at me, and I'm just going to take the picture and it flies away. And I'm thinking, oh, you little brat. But it didn't go that far, and it's just kind of, moving its wings, looking at me. So I go after it, go to try to take another picture. It goes a little bit further away. I could continue on with more here. I won't, other than the fact that I do believe it was leading me away to safety.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we finish. Eventually I did get a photo of it, but we finish up there. We ride the horses all back down and we're going to go to the next activity. And this was a water slide there in the middle of nowhere. So we're all getting ready to go do this water slide. Well, they handed out life jackets and hard helmets. And I said, oh, no, if you need a life jacket and a hard helmet to go on this thing, count me out. So I didn't go. The other 5 went. 3 were livid. They figured that they were going to die on this thing. It was just horrible. So we get through that. We go down to another area and we're gearing up to go up to start the zip line. Now, a beautiful, nice, well-kept little area, but I happened to look up and there was a brand new backboard hanging up on the wall. And I said, oh, wow, I'm sure glad to see that thing up there just in case. Well, wouldn't you know it, guess who was on that backboard? But so anyways, away we go and we pile into this little hay wagon and this tractor takes us up and we start the zip lines. The first one, I can't remember. It was just ridiculously long, double cable. The only one that had 2 cables. I will admit I was really nervous. I was afraid. So a guide came on with me.
Mhm.
And when I got to the second platform, I thought, okay, I'm good, I'm all right. And it was fun. And we kind of planned it so that Tom and I would end up on a platform together at the same time and just
right.
chit chat a little bit. And he was so concerned how unsafe everything was. It was so horrible. It was scary. It was really, really scary. But we get to the second last platform. It's starting to rain a little bit.
Mhm.
And of course, we're wearing leather gloves to break on the cable. And the other two, no, just the one couple went. And my friend's husband went and Tom went. He said, I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to video and take pictures. So, okay, that's fine. So it was just Wendy and I left behind. And right then, there was only one guide that could speak English, but he said, okay, on this zip line, we offer you to go on with a guide. We'll tether you together and then you can just hang and they'll do the braking and whatnot. And they were eager to get us off there just because of the rain,
Right.
because it would be harder to brake. Hey, so Wendy and I are like, oh my gosh, that kind of sounds scary. But we thought, okay, what the heck? Elsie said you only live once, so they tethered me to the guide, and my legs were wrapped around under his shoulders, and my feet crossed at the back.
Okay.
And so away we went. I let go. I'm hanging upside down. And it really was quite freaky. But I could hear Tom yelling at me. He was just only wanting to get my attention. But right then, this horrible feeling came over me. I can't even begin to explain what it felt like. I quickly pulled myself up, and that was it. The cable all came unattached, and down the guide and I went. Thank God when I landed on my back, just barely incline, but it was dirt that I landed on. The guide, sadly, he landed in a sitting position. He broke his back, his neck. Like, it was just so horrible.
And you fell about 35 feet.
35 feet, yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Just so crazy, hey. But Art and Elsie and oh, for Pete's sake, how can I forget his name? They were already on the wagon, Harry. They were already on the wagon getting ready to go. And of course, Tom saw this. I mean, and he just went crazy, lost his mind. And Alex was there as well. So they ran to me. And how crazy is this? In the hot pools was a neurosurgeon, his registered nurse wife, and another doctor.
Wow.
And of course, they heard the commotion. They all came to me. And I do remember the neurosurgeon like working on me. It took forever. Well, and ambulances do not have the right of way there. But anyways, a little Range Rover open back showed up finally, and they threw an old mattress into the back of it, threw me and the guide into it. And it was horrible to listen to him.
Oh,
it was it was so horrible. And now keep in mind, I kind of did end up with a bit of a broken back myself, but I mean, I was just, I don't know, I guess maybe in shock. So I was maybe more in control.
Absolutely, you were in shock.
But we started the trek down, and I can't remember who drove Alex's vehicle, but Alex came with Tom and I. They finally transferred us into another little Range Rover ambulance, and Alex came with us because he was our translator. Hey, so I can remember I'm laying there and I'm in so much pain in my back. And what that was, they didn't strap the backboard properly. And
Oh,
so I had this hard plastic thing cutting into my back. They moved that. And I mean, I'm going to be just totally open and say it. Tom said to me, he said, "Are you having your period?" I said, "No." Yeah, well, some bleeding just because of the impact, quite a few things started to happen. But from then on, it was an absolute nightmare, an absolute nightmare. It was frightening. It was scary. We finally get to the hospital. They want to drug me. And I'm like, oh, no, you don't. Like, nobody's given me anything. Hey. And Tom wanted to stay with me the night. And I said, well, there's probably no sense. But so him and Alex, they did finally leave. And I was filthy, absolutely filthy from the fall.
well, sure.
But they take me into this room full of very critically ill people. People are screaming and moaning and groaning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this was just horrible. But I remember how much pain I was in my back. It was just undescribable. But I'm trying to move, and I'm wrapped in a sheet, and I kind of move myself, and I see just all this blood, and I'm like, what the heck? So I'm kind of trying to look. I had one little scrape on one of my legs. That was it. And I had a bit of a mark on my cheek. I guess, well, when I fell, the impact of the original fall threw me a few feet away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I landed face first, and that gave me a little bit of a mark. And the helmet gave a little tiny bit of a scrape on my jawbone. But anyways, I see all this blood, and of course I panic. So I get help, and there was a female doctor there who spoke English, and I said, to please get her. And so they did. And I said, I'm bleeding. And she said, like, what do you mean? So I showed her, and I mean, whoa, boy, they kicked into action then, big time. I eventually made it to a different part of the hospital where they did an internal ultrasound, and of course I was bleeding inside just because of the impact. It just
Sure.
really shook me up so bad, and of course a critical severe concussion. But anyways, Tom and Alex end up coming back. Well, they get to the hospital and they couldn't find me because I was still down,
Right.
having the test. I come back, and Tom was so upset because I was still just filthy. They hadn't even bathed me or cleaned me up. It was just horrible. But they took, I'd already had, and plus I'd had x-rays. They took the x-rays. And I know for a fact the x-rays were tucked under my blanket
Right.
on
Like they
my
always do. Yeah.
little cot thing. And so the fight was on. They weren't going to give us the x-rays. And it got pretty intense, hot and heavy discussions and fighting and arguing at the hospital to get the x-rays.
Why would they not want to give you the x-rays?
Oh, I'll get to that. Yeah. But finally we did. And it was a really difficult situation for this Alex guy because we found out even before we left Costa Rica that he was into the owner of that lodge for a whole ton of money.
Oh,
He had borrowed from him. So, but we were grateful that he did come through for us and help to get those x-rays. So we get back to the resort where we were staying. And of course, word spreads fast in a place down like that. At that time, there was a Canadian journalist there doing a documentary on the zip line accidents with this one specific company.
so you hadn't had any treatment and you were out of the hospital?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm glad. I'm glad
Well,
I'd never.
no, I can understand
Yeah.
that, but you still didn't even know at this point what the extent of your injuries were.
Well, they said there was nothing wrong. Yeah,
Ah,
they said that. Yeah. Yeah. And
you'll
I mean,
you'll you'll be a little sore for a couple of days.
yeah, that's
You
about
walk
it.
it off.
Um, so anyways, we go back to the resort and we had it set up that a paramedic would come each day and give me a shot of Demerol for pain.
Mhm.
And there was a young, one of the young entertainers. She was just lovely. She kind of stayed with me because Tom was out trying to take care of business. He was going to make somebody pay, for what happened. But I don't know, probably the second or third day after the accident, um, a paramedic shows up. Tom's gone. It was a different paramedic. I hadn't seen him before. And he's like, "Oh, madam, like we found you a new doctor. I have to take you to her." And I'm like, "You found me. Nobody told me anything about this. Tom should have told me,
Right.
But and if you know the Carol Burnett show and the Tim Conway shuffle, that's me. I mean, I could barely walk. I have a broken back. So, anyways, he finally gets me to the car, puts me in the car, and he takes off like a bat out of hell. I was At that time I was fearing for my life.
Of course.
Yeah, and I'm thinking something is really wrong here. And he's driving like an absolute lunatic. Like it was insane. Pretty soon he's like two wheels, pulls into this big parking lot, and I could see some men. Well, here it's Tom, the owner of the lodge. Alex is there and a couple other men. And all of a sudden, Tom kind of glances, he sees me in the car. He runs over and he said, get out now. And I'm like, what's going on? He said, get out of the car now. And later, just, because of some of the people that we had befriended there and they were supporting us, they said they were going to kill me. They were going to take me out to the rainforest where my body would never, ever be found and kill me because they were worried that I was going to cause trouble for the owner of the lodge and whatnot. But Tom and the Canadian journalist, Gordon, they went back up to the lodge and it was, oh gosh, it could have been a bloodbath. The owner's people came at them with machetes.
Oh
Yeah, it was just, it's unbelievable, really. It's unbelievable what happened. But they smashed Gordon's camera and they were starting to beat up Gordon's assistant. And it was just so crazy. But actually, prior to Tom and Gordon meeting up, they hired a private investigator to find us. The Canadian Embassy was involved at that time. Gordon hired a private investigator to locate us to see if everybody would be willing to be interviewed for his
right.
documentary and
Story,
whatnot. Yeah. So of course we all did that, and the other friends were scared to death of what might happen to us all. Hey,
Right.
it was just so crazy, but yeah, I'm so lucky to be alive.
So how many days until you were able to leave Costa Rica?
Well, the accident happened on the 5th day of a 2-week vacation, and we stayed. I basically spent the time in bed. It was November 27th was Tom's and my anniversary, and I did, with a lot of pain and agony, get dressed in a nice outfit, and we didn't go far, but we went down, and the 6 of us had a nice meal together. But my poor kids, they were just out of their minds. Each day before we would set out, I would just run up to the lobby, send a quick email,
Right.
and nobody heard from me. Like it happened, the accident was day 5. Nobody heard from me for a couple more days, and they're thinking, that's something's not right. That's weird. But then I did send them another email, and I said, oh gosh, crazy thing. We were out on a hike and I slipped and fell. I'm feeling just a little bit rough. And Curtis is thinking, oh yeah, right. She fell on a hike. She probably got loaded and slipped down by the swimming pool and broke her leg. Doesn't want to tell us. But then I did. I came clean, and I was so sad for them. I mean, they're calling me and they're crying and they're just so afraid. And I said, I'm okay. I'm okay. I did go home in a wheelchair though. I couldn't be upright, but the plane ride home was horrible, absolutely horrible. It was just so painful. But yeah, I would never do a zip line again, even if it was just 5 feet above the ground,
I'm sure not. So when did you find out what the real extent of your injury
Well,
were?
as soon, and this was so crazy, news travels fast. When we landed here at the airport, I mean, there's news reporters everywhere. It was absolutely insane. And of course, my doctor from back where we were living at the time, he knew, and him and my kids had communicated and whatnot. So he was ready for me to show up. So we had the x-rays and whatnot with us, and we went immediately the next day after we got home, and he looked at the x-rays, and of course it was cut off. It was just a horrible x-ray. And so he said, we're going to do more x-rays. He said, but I want you going for an MRI or CT. I don't remember what it was. So, and he said, I want it immediately. So we paid and came into the city and had it done. And yeah, I'm so grateful because it just missed my spinal cord. It was like just by a hair. So the worst of it was the pain and the nerve damage, all like from it went all around. I mean, sometimes I'd be sitting there and it would be just like an attack of like 1,000 knives stabbing me.
Right.
I couldn't even breathe. Like it literally took my breath away. So yeah, the pain, and I mean all the healing of the nerve damage, that took a long time. I lost my short-term memory, and that was really concerning for the kids because we'd be talking and I'd say something, and like 2 minutes later I'd say the same, and like they're thinking, oh my gosh, like she's
lost
something
her marbles.
yeah, literally. Hey, but Carlene moved home so that she could help take care of me, because Tom, he had to get back to work, couldn't take forever off. So, but just, it was so scary, so frightening. And we did try to find out what happened with the guide, and we never could. All we knew is that he eventually was airlifted to San Jose, and I did my best trying to find out. The one young man that took us on the quad tour, I stayed in close touch with him and his wife Rose. They were just beautiful people, just absolutely loved them. And what was so neat is Victor and I we were chatting one day, and he said, hey, do you remember when we went on the quad tour, that one place where we all stopped just to, the monkeys were just, so abundant. And I said, yeah. He said, you'll never guess what happened. He said, I stopped the quad and I looked ahead, and on the trail was a morpho butterfly looking at him. He said, morpho butterflies do not come down there. It's unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. And he said he looked at it and he said, "What are you doing here?" And he said it, it came up off the ground and it just kind of flitted looking at him. And then it flew back up towards the rainforest. And he said he felt that was a sign, very spiritual, that, I would be okay and whatnot. But yeah, the healing process was pretty intense, I'll tell you. It was crazy. We got home, I don't know, maybe about the 4th of December. And Kristen and Jeff were getting married in June. And I said to my doctor, I said, all I care about is that I can be able to have a dance at my daughter's wedding. And I could. And like I said, it took a long time. I've never had any nightmares, or I don't think I have any PTSD. I mean,
that's good.
Yeah, I really don't think I do. I can remember it all. Like if I sit and think about it, I can remember absolutely every little bit of it happening. I can remember the sound of like our harnesses, clanking and whatnot. And of course I remember the guide. He was in so much pain. He just screaming, and it was just so horrible, that poor man.
So what ended up being the issue with your arm?
Well, hitting one of the muscles ripped off. It was severed, tore right off its attachment. So it took 20 years of going to doctor after doctor. They'd send me to different specialists and whatnot. And well, it wasn't just that one muscle. It was several. It was a whole group of them. And man, I struggled. I couldn't even dress or undress myself properly. I needed help for such a long time to help me do those things. And so finally, of course, getting to January, well, that's when I contacted the surgeon in Mexico. And I got there, what was that? February 4th, I think Sunday was the 4th, had the surgery the night of the 6th, late the night of the 6th.
But this is 20 years later now.
Yes, 20 years later, I had begged for help from our healthcare here, and I got absolutely nothing. So yeah, I had the surgery February 6th, 2024, and I was back home to sleep in my own bed Sunday night, February 11th. Yeah, it was a rough road. It was a rough road, but here I am, happy and thankful and grateful to be alive.
And so now, what limitation do you have with your bad arm now? And it's not, is it your dominant arm or not?
Oh, of course, it had to be.
Always.
Yeah. I actually have been struggling. I don't know if you see I don't know. Can you see? Oh yeah, there's the incision. I can see it. Yeah. Because I've been so busy doing so much extra. Like I'm really quite consistent with working out. Now, of course, my left arm has become the stronger of the two. The right arm, yeah, it, if I flex, you can tell that the muscle mass is less in this arm. But I've been having a lot of pain, and that's just part of the process, I guess. I've just been doing so much extra yard work, working with the chainsaw, cutting, trying to prune back those 2 trees and whatnot, and just extra stuff. And yesterday, when the kids were here for our Thanksgiving dinner, I literally could not even lift up the pot of potatoes to drain it. I literally could not. So of course, Kyle, he's great. He loves to be in the kitchen, so he was helping with everything. I couldn't take the turkey out. I was able to put the turkey in the oven earlier yesterday. Couldn't lift it out of the oven.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but
Okay, so well, that is, I mean, I mean, I knew a lot of this story before, but there was details that you added in here today that I'd never heard about before, and
mm,
so
oh
so
wow.
yeah, so
Okay.
that's but I mean, miraculous that you could fall 35 feet and not only live to tell about it, but literally walk away from it. And I mean, you'd think that you'd be, unfortunately, like your poor guide there, that
Oh yeah. And it was so sad. Um, they, of course, I'm on a gurney, but they wouldn't let anyone else, like our friends, come into the hospital. And I mean, they're out of their mind. They're standing out in the parking lot. They don't know if I'm dead or alive.
right.
Tom wasn't at that point. He wasn't going to leave me. So the staff agreed. They took me out to the parking lot on the gurney so that our other friends could see us, and it broke my heart because they're all, I could cry now, they were all just crying. They were so afraid, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to be okay. But it was so funny because Harry, Wendy's husband, I don't know where he came up with it. He nicknamed me Kitty. So everybody was calling me Kitty. But anyways, he was so distraught. He was just so distraught. And actually up at the site where I fell, he's leaning over me, and he's just begging me, Kitty, come on, you got to be okay, Kitty, and whatever. And um was I can't remember where we were and when this happened, but he was so upset. Somebody said something to him, and he goes, "Me no speak English." I'm thinking, but yeah, you do. That's your first language, you nitwit.
Right.
You don't speak Espanol. But oh man, we laughed about that for a very long time. Me no speak English. He was so upset. Oh, but you know what? I'm going to backtrack. Um, Wendy was left on that second last platform. She had not made it across yet.
Oh,
Well, they
right,
knew.
right,
Yes, the cable's gone.
right.
The cable's just gone. And she knew. Well, they both knew something really bad had happened.
Sure.
And thank God again, when I fell, I had just crossed over a deep, 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 dry riverbed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't,
If
like
you
they
had
said,
fallen in there, you wouldn't have made it.
and they said after they weren't even sure if they would have been able to get me out of there to retrieve my body, just the way everything
Wow.
was. I know, isn't that insane?
Yeah,
It's just so crazy.
yeah.
But anyways, that second last platform where Wendy and the other guide were, there's no ladder to get out of this tree. So they're like trying to grip the tree to shimmy down to get out of this tree. Go way to, or no, how did that work? How did they get back across there? I don't remember. It took them a long time to get back to us.
Wow.
And then, of course, poor Wendy, she's, as soon as she got there, I mean, and of course, me being me, like, it's okay, everybody, I'm going to be okay. Don't worry, and you're just dying of pain. It is
Right.
just so, so, so horrible. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was
Well,
bad.
you just got to be thankful that you're here to tell the story.
Yep. And you know, my doctor, my family doctor back at home, he said, you've got to write a book. You need to write a book. And I mean, of course, I haven't said every little single thing that,
Sure.
happened or whatever. But yeah, that morpho butterfly, I said was my guardian angel. And I really do believe it was just trying to lead me away from danger. And so hence the morpho butterfly tattoo.
I
Just
was
had to
gonna
do
say,
it.
yeah. I was gonna say,
Yeah,
yeah.
very
Well,
significant.
that kind of clears up the three good
The
arms.
three good arms. Yeah, the
And
three good
so, you
arms
know what,
story
I think we'll wait till next Tuesday and we'll talk about
for part
how
two about three
the
good
three good
legs.
legs, because that's a whole other story.
I know.
And yeah, and it thankfully is not there wasn't the element of danger and kidnapping in
But
in my
isn't that
story.
crazy? People say you were kidnapped. Yes, I was kidnapped. Everyone there said they were going to kill me because he was afraid that I was going to cause a whole lot of trouble with him. It's so
Right.
corrupt. The
So
government,
just to kind of finish it out now. So the journalist that was doing the documentary and got your story to be part of that, I'm assuming. So whatever happened as far as liability with the place, that nothing.
nothing, absolutely nothing. And when we got back home, of course, we had insurance. We had, good travel insurance. We submitted everything, and I got $1.82 back from insurance.
Wow.
Yeah, had I died there, yeah, it would have paid out quite a bit, but $1.82. Yeah, I
Wow.
was reimbursed through our travel insurance.
That's incredible.
Unbelievable, hey?
That's
Yeah, it
incredible.
was absolutely crazy. But
Well, so there we go. Well, now we've had it. Well, what an interesting night we've had tonight talking about that.
I
That's
know.
well, and I mean, like I said, I mean, I've obviously heard the story before in the details, but man, it's incredible to hear you tell it again. I mean, I can't imagine I can't imagine what it was like when you heard that line break and knew that, I mean,
It
that's
was,
all.
and it was so bizarre because, like I said, I could hear Tom yelling at me, and he was just trying, like, I'm upside down. I'm just hanging there, hey? And I'm hearing him yelling at me because he wants me to try to focus in at him. And right, like that's what I said right at that very second, just I was just overcome with panic and fear. So I pulled myself up, and just then the video camera quit working.
Wow.
The camera quit working. And I mean, that's probably a good thing. I would have hated
Oh,
him or
yeah.
my kids to relive that,
No, no,
having such a horrendous
no.
thing
Well,
happen.
I'll tell you a little. I don't know if I've told you this before or not. I may have, but I've gone ziplining a couple of times. Ziplining is not in my future ever again either, and for completely different reasons than yours. But the first time I went, was that the first time?
Hey,
I think it was the first time I went ziplining, and it was with my daughter Sandy. She had won. Oh, there's Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice.
Anyway, she had won through her job. She was a top salesperson, and she won a trip to Mexico. And so she invited me to go with her. Her husband was not able to attend for whatever reason, so I went. And man, if I was a salesperson, I mean, that those trips, that I mean, it was like 5 star. It was awesome. It was incredible. So anyways, we signed up for a couple of different excursions. We did diving in the cenote, and then going into the jungle, and then we went ziplining, and it was a really big zip line, and it was rated very highly by whatever that Condé Nast Travel, whatever, however you say that anyway. So we went, and the guy was showing, well, and this was one of the ones where you had to break yourself. And so when
Yep.
they're giving you the instructions, they tell you like how to sit, how to hold your legs, what to do if you start swaying and all these things. And then they tell you like you don't want to break too soon, because if you do, you might not have enough momentum to be able to get to the next platform. So, I
Yep.
mean, and so I was nervous and whatever, but we went out and did a couple, and it was fine. And I thought, okay, it was, well, then we got to what was going to be the longest stretch. And as we started, and of course, when you're on the longest stretch like that, of course you have the more opportunity to start. And I started really swaying, and they told you like to kind of put your feet out in front of you across your legs, and then just point yourself towards the platform. And I did. But as I did that, I braked a little bit, and I lost my momentum. Well, they could already tell on the
Oh, you
platform, the
weren't
young
going to
man
make
that
it.
was there, that I wasn't going to make it. So he was already starting to come to get me. So of course I was the absolute laughing stock of the entire group that was with us. And after that, everybody was calling me mama. And then they were like, "Mama, you're going to make you're going to make it to the next platform." And I was like, "Yes, I'm going to make it to the next platform." But it was like they had, they were code talking, because they probably had walkie talkies, but everybody was prepared. "Okay, mama, you don't break, we'll tell you when to break." But man, like, you get going on them things, and then you're that platforms, and you think like, well, surely I should be breaking now, and like, no. And then, man, you hit that platform with little velocity. I did go
Yeah.
zip lining after that again in that was in Mexico. And then the next time I went, it was in I think it was Honduras. But it was I didn't have to brake. It braked automatically, which was much
Oh,
nicer. But
oh,
honestly,
interesting.
as much as fun as I had the second time I went, I'm done with ziplining, and there'll be a good reason for that, and I'll tell you all about that next week on
Yeah.
Coffee and Cocktails, when I tell you about the 3 good legs.
And
So for
I
those of you
was,
following along, I am the 2 good arms.
yeah, right.
And
And
she's
I'm
got
the
one.
two good legs.
Yep. Yeah. So there's another story
Oh,
coming up. But anyway,
God.
it was kind of a cool, because I mean, that we didn't, we always just said, after your injury and mine, we just always said, well, between the two of us, we got 3 good arms and 3 good legs. So that's the story of how we got our channel title. But I'll tell you the story next week about what happened with my little
Yep.
injury, and how that
That'll
went.
be
But
good.
hey, it's been fun. It's been really fun, and interesting listening to this again. It's been a little while since I've heard your story, and
Actually, I think a movie would be cool. I used to think about that and think of who I would have to play my part, and
oh, hey, well, let's think about that. I hadn't thought, mine doesn't warrant a movie by any stretch of the imagination at all. But anyway,
and had Tom and I turned, I still have that book that Kristen had gifted us. Had we turned the page, it would have we would have read, "Don't go there.
really,
Don't go there," because of the accidents, deaths, critical
wow,
injuries. Yeah, yeah.
isn't that something?
So, but I know, eh?
Anyway.
But God
Well, it's
wasn't
been a fun,
finished with me.
yeah, well, it's been a fun night tonight. That was an interesting story. I'm looking forward to sharing my story next Tuesday night. And
Yeah,
until then, I guess we'll continue to post and hope that the channel continues to grow, and invite
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
to subscribe, like, share, and invite your friends. I mean, we're just going to talk about everyday ordinary stuff, and we hope that
And
we find you
that's
have something
it.
interesting.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, we're just everyday ordinary women
That's
and
right.
living our lives, and we're mothers, we're grandmas, we're friends, we're this, we're that, and
Yep. And
Yeah.
everybody's got a story and they're all interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, that was good.
Yeah, you enjoy the rest of your night and we'll talk soon. And in the meantime,
Be blessed.
we're a mess.
We'll see you on the
On the
next.
next. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.